Hello, my friends. My name is Raymond. I would like to make some comments on the recent terrorist attack on in the United States, in California, and San Bernardino. Um, First of all, it's disgusting that uh, this is happening. It makes you rethink humanity. Um, the solution, there are many solutions. We're not going to stop violence amongst humans. It's not going to happen, but it can be diminished and curbed. It can be decreased. There are many things we can do. The Republican argument, it's idiotic, absolutely insane. To think that more guns are gonna, you know, they're going to stop shootings. More guns are probably going to bring more shootings. Let alone open carry. Open carry is an invitation for an asshole out there, a fucking thug, to come behind you, zap you with a. It doesn't even have to have a gun. They just hit you on the back of the head with a rock. And take your gun and shoot you with it, or take off with it. You're invited. Man, it's the stupidest thing. For some, to be open carrying. You're making yourself a target for somebody who cannot get a gun legally. Now, people say, "Oh, people are going to get guns illegally anyways." Well, I mean, if that's your argument, okay, so let's just sell heroin right at the corner, right in front of children's schools, because eventually some of them are going to buy heroin, and people are going to get heroin illegally, and let's just sell cocaine at Walgreens, and shoot, let's just have fucking nurses boot people up, at the shoot them up at the fucking the pharmacy. I mean, it's ridiculous. There needs to be some type of control. You're not going to eliminate it, but you need to have some type of control. You certainly don't. What I don't want is they need to close the gun show loophole. It's easy for a person who has raped a child, who has committed any type of crime, to just go into a gun show and buy, a former murderer or whatever, somebody who's done hideous things, just walk into a gun show. They buy as many guns as they want, man, without having to go for a background check. Some people like gun shows running, but a lot of people don't. I mean, you just look them up on the videos. They record these fucking monkeys out there, selling guns to people, and people say, "Aren't you going to run a background?" I say, "I don't have to," and that's right. The law says they don't have to. Florida, a bunch of Republican states. So then they want to say, well, they're not going to do it. It's like, are you stupid? Of course they're going to do it. So one of the things is to close the gun show loophole. Run a background check. You don't want people out there who have committed fucked up shit, crimes, having access to a weapon. I mean, unless you don't care if they, a child molester, can get his hands on a gun, and it makes it easier for them to just wave a gun at somebody and just, kidnap, kids by the dozen with a gun. So that's one. The other one is. The other argument is that, okay, we need to make a registry of Muslims. Listen, that's stupid. Okay, they're not gonna. The people who are perpetrating this stuff, a lot of the people involved in it have been trained to just blend in. So you're not going to catch them. A lot of them don't go to their mosques or their temples or whatever they call it. They don't grow beards. They just go to work like everybody else. And the other one is, and very important, I think, is we need to stop this religious indoctrination of children. People say the Muslims blow themselves up, and it's a bad religion, and I agree. It's disgusting. I haven't read the whole thing, the Quran, but I've read some of it, and it's basically a plagiarized version of Judaic text and other texts. And this guy, Muhammad, it was what's his name? one of the guys the guy who wrote God is Not Good, he calls him an epileptic pedophile. He married a 12-year-old girl, I think it was. Uh, you know, plagiarizing asshole. So if we're saying, okay, the Muslims are doing all this horrible things, but the Christians are not, and that's not true, because the reality is, for as long as we keep indoctrinating our children into this, I call them Middle Eastern genocidal mythologies. All the religions that come from Abraham's children, all of them are genocidal. All of them. The Jews used to have human sacrifices for a long time. They stopped it a long time ago, but they did it. Say, oh, that was a long time ago. Okay, so when a guy blows himself up, he kills, whatever, a dozen people. But when Bush lied to the United States about Bush and Cheney and all his cronies and all his thugs, they're a bunch of criminals, about weapons of mass destruction, to get this country into a war, they all lined up, their defense contractor buddies, and they basically committed genocide in Iraq. Because most of the people that got killed in all the Iraq wars, most of the people that got killed in the first Iraq war, George Bush Sr., which was, by the way, the biggest cocaine dealer in the history of this country. If you don't believe me, go read everything, all the literature and all the investigations about when he was leading the CIA during the Iran-Contra, fucking crime. It was a fucking crime. What it was. They were flying C-130s loaded with cocaine into this country, selling it to fucking, they had a contact in L.A. who was a CIA operative selling it to Freeway Rick Ross. That's how they destroyed the L.A., the Compton and all the black and the history of all the black neighborhoods and Puerto Rican neighborhoods, flooded it with cocaine from Central America so that they could get money and buy weapons and, send it to the Iranian people. Ollie North was just the guy who ran the logistics, but the real guys who ran that shit was the CIA with the blessing of Ronald Reagan, biggest piece of shit in my opinion. If you read anything what he did to this country, he destroyed the fucking middle class with his trickle down shit, and with his fucking destroyed the mental health, which is another of the issues that is destroying this country. They disassemble the safety network of mental health clinics for everybody, and basically threw all the mental health patients on the street, and not just the patients, the people who were getting help from the government for mental health. So now what you have is a completely undiagnosed, untreated, enormous mental health afflicted community in this country. And of course, the Republicans don't want to take care of that, because that would be welfare, But every time there's a fucking shootout, they want to say, "Oh, let's our prayers." Fuck you and your prayers and your God. Fuck all of you motherfuckers. That's all I have to say. I mean, it's disgusting. If you really cared about the people, you would pass laws that at least curb the access of this automatic weapons to Joe Blow out there, because he gets a hard on when he goes and shoots it at the range or wherever in his backyard. The only reason those things exist is to kill people in a battlefield. But all that aside, we need to curb all this religious indoctrination, because the Christians are killing. If you vote for a Republican candidate that sponsors war against Iraq or Afghanistan or whoever, this country's been at war for 226 years out of its existence. It's only been like 240, 230 something. This guy's fucking. They might as well call it Trojan. The Trojan nation, all about war. They profit from it. Dwight Eisenhower in his farewell address. Eisenhower was a Republican, if I'm not mistaken. He said it. One of the last few good Republicans. He said it's like, beware the military-industrial complex. I think he's the one who coined that phrase. because they're going to destroy the world. They want to continue to sell weapons. That's their business, to sell weapons. The United States is the number one manufacturer and merchant and seller of weapons on the planet. Number one. Right now, ISIS has all the weapons that ISIS has are American weapons. And it is that bullshit that, that's just that we gave it to the Iraqis and the Iraqis ran and gave it to them. So get the fuck out of here, man. That's not true. They either sold it to them or they purposely, you see, this people are hideous, man. The people who they got out there that working for this defense contractors, they sell weapons to all of them. The United States is right now spent about, last report I read a few months ago was almost $8 billion that's sold in weapons to people in Syria. Okay, so they're using it as a proxy war to test their weapons and their missiles and their bullshit in Syria, because now Russia is testing their aircraft, their missile jamming systems. It's all about money. It's disgusting because right now we're almost at 250,000 human beings killed. Most of them, the vast majority of them, killed by American weapons in Syria. American, French weapons. The French have destroyed the fucking Africa and the planet with their colonization of everything and destruction of native cultures. And it's disgusting. And the worst of them all was Great Britain. They committed genocide. At one point, Great Britain had cultivated opium in India and sold it to the Chinese, and had 25%, an estimated 25% of the Chinese population was hooked on opium. And guess who sold them the opium? Great Britain. Okay? They were the biggest dope dealers in history. It was Great Britain. Okay, the United States, the same shit. They flooded when the Black Panthers were out there. They flooded all the black and Puerto Rican neighborhoods with heroin to destroy the neighborhood. It's documented. Go look it up. The fucking videos of the CIA apologizing for it and shit. Oh, we're sorry, it was an operation and blah 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 bullshit, man. They knew what the fuck we're doing. So who you think really brings the drugs in this country? So that argument that they're trying to help us and all this shit, the government, they're trying to fuck us in the ass. But the Christians in this country, the Christian Republicans, are waging an even more prolific war on the Muslims than the Muslims are on them. The Muslims did not draw first blood in this conflict by far. It was the Christians and the Jewish people, the Judeo-Christians. They carved out a chunk of Palestinian land in 1947 after the Second World War as a price for the Jewish people after Hitler massacred them, and they gave it to them and told them, here, live here. That was Palestinian land. That was not Israeli land. Okay, so that and before that, the British had been, the French have destroyed and pillaged the African continent, the Arabic Peninsula, the Middle East, the Far East, India. So people need to read their history before they go out there and say, oh, these people just appeared out of nowhere. No, they've been oppressed for a long time. They got nothing to lose. Now we got this guy, Barack Obama. He's done some good things, but he's got about 4,000 or 5,000 drones out there flying around in the Middle East, Yemen, and in many North African nations, fucking firing hellfire missiles into crowded fucking markets just to kill one guy, and he ends up killing a bunch of people. The numbers are staggering. Like 90 or 91% of the victims of drone attacks are civilians. What do you think people are going to do when you kill their kids, their grandma, their mom, their brother? If you take my family, man, I have nothing left to lose. I'm going to do something to you before I fucking die. I don't care if it's in the name of Allah, Jesus, Yahweh, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm going to strap something on. I'm going to do something to you. I'm going to hit back. See, if you give people nothing to lose, they're going to react accordingly. So we need to stop this bullshit about going back there and hitting them because they hit us. No, we hit them first. And this bullshit. If you look at the video, they gave 35 years to this guy who leaked out the video. To me, he's a fucking hero of an Apache helicopter massacring, Arabic journalists from Reuters in the ground, and they're saying on the fucking video, look at those dead bastards. And then there's this black van that stops to help these guys after they get torn apart by 30mm fucking, Apache rounds, with 2 kids. They're on their way to school in Iraq. With their 2 children, a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old, okay? And the fucking Apache helicopters tears them apart and kills those kids' families. And they put this kid, the United States government, put the Manning kid 35 years, for espionage. No, man. We need to stop killing people because not me, I don't support it. I'm Puerto Rican. If it was up to me, I would stop all wars. And I'll put all these motherfuckers in prison. All of them, all these politicians. Yeah, go to prison for life. Fuck you. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let you, go rot in there. We'll feed you, no problem. But this thing about let's go to war every fucking 6 months because somebody killed a couple of people here, but we might want to stop killing. You might want to stop killing people out there. Think about that. War begets war. So I think the solution is we stop the wars. We do something about the proliferation of weapons, of firearms, to just sell them to everybody, and and stop with the religious indoctrination of children, and everybody, Religion has committed genocide and hasn't stopped. Thank you.